What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. In today's video, we're going to be covering hidden gem or sleeper tight ends within Madden 23. I want to get back to the hidden gems series here on the channel, something that we've done every single year within Madden, but we did not finish for this Madden season. And if my notes serve me correctly, I've got tight ends, D ends, D tackles, linebackers, and safeties left to do. So hopefully you guys will be interested in seeing some of the hidden gem players that are available on the current existing roster on Madden 23. So let's take a look at plus or minus 10 players that you can utilize at the tight end position that aren't going to be super expensive to you, aren't going to cost you a whole lot, aren't going to be super difficult to get, but are going to change your game as an offense in Madden 23. Real quick, before we get into those players, I want to make sure that you guys know that I have set up a Patreon. I will be setting up a merch store for the channel, so hopefully you guys can check that link out in the description. Make sure you guys leave a like on this video, comment, and subscribe. There are quite a few of you that watch these videos that are not subscribed yet. If you guys want to continue to see these videos year in and year out, weekly as well, and daily as well, please leave that feedback, leave a like, and subscribe, because that helps drive the YouTube algorithm, and we know that the YouTube algorithm is not perfect. The very first tight end on this list is one of my favorite tight ends available within Madden 23, and is certainly going to be available to you guys for next to nothing because of who is already on this team. And that is Colby Parkinson, the Stanford product that is on the Seattle Seahawks. And the reason for that is him being 6'7", 251. He's also 23 years old and a reasonable overall. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you have noticed or you have not noticed, you'll want to check this out. Tall players within the game generally catch things that they shouldn't, and they break tackles that they shouldn't, and players that are taller and have a high weight will catch things and break tackles that they otherwise shouldn't. You'll see a guy like Colby Parkinson play a lot better than a 67 overall, and in fact quite a bit better than a lot of the shorter tight ends and lighter tight ends within the game. Colby Parkinson's a player that I've had a massive amount of success with, and the reason that he's specifically on this list is because of that age in combination with his size. And then, like I said, they have Noah Fant, who is the speed demon on this team that nobody's going to want to part ways with, and the veteran Will Dissly is also here. I mean, Colby Parkinson is expendable for this team, and a lot of Seahawks users and the Seahawks within franchise mode are just not going to see the value in Colby Parkinson when he can be a 1A tight end for your team. The next tight end on this list that I just simply cannot leave off of this list, even though he's a rookie and I try to stay away from rookies, and even though he's probably the top tight end on this team and I try to stay away from those types of players, is going to be Chigoziem Okonkwo. And I'm probably butchering that name, but this guy is a 22-year-old, 71 overall with 88 speed and 91 acceleration. Yeah, he's a little bit shorter at 6'3", 238. He's not going to be a super great run blocker. He's more of a receiver type of a player, but he's a player that I've gotten in pretty much every single one of my franchises so far this year, and I use and abuse the crap out of his athleticism. He is a very, very good tight end if you build him up a little bit. I mean, he is a little bit shorter and whatnot, so like I said, he's not going to get those crazy catches and things that you get off of those tall players, but you will see him progress pretty quickly, especially if you feed him the ball. I really like this option. The first two options on this list are great tight end options for you guys. The third option on this list, now not as favorable as he has been in past years, is Albert O, the Missouri product who is on the Denver Broncos. The reason for this being that they have Greg Dulcich, the really good rookie that is a higher overall, younger on the Broncos team. Teams are going to want to focus on developing him up. Albert O is a speedster tight end, an option that I've mentioned in past years. He also has reasonable size for his athleticism, so it's 6'5", 258 combined with 88 speed. You're just simply not going to see too many options out there similar to this. He is 24 years old and a 68 overall, so you have to consider that he's not going to progress too much unless you manually upgrade him. And I know I already mentioned that I'm trying to stay away from rookies and high potential young players, but I have to also mention in the fourth spot Trey McBride, who is much like some of the tight ends we've talked about already, and I think he's actually gotten a boost to his athleticism in the most recent updates, and so he kind of his value has skyrocketed within Madden. I mean, he's a 73 overall, 22-year-old with 87 speed, 90 acceleration, and his size is actually pretty serviceable as well at 6'4", 246. So he's not quite a receiver body. He's closer to a tight end body with really good athleticism there. Now, his problem will be his really bad agility, change of direction, and that type of thing. So he will be more of a fast, straight line type of a tight end. You're not going to see him breaking, making crazy cuts in his routes or anything like that, but you should know his name in case you can get him. The 5th spot is going to be taken up by Noah Gray, tight end here for the Kansas City Chiefs. He is a guy that I don't think a lot of people would take a look at, but it's just simply his overall and age combination that is going to facilitate potentially a solid tight end option for you. And the fact that they have Travis Kelce means that they're probably not going to be getting Noah Gray the ball much, and he's probably expendable. So at, 23 years old, 68 overall with, medium speed for a tight end, you can get away with getting a guy like this and developing him into a good possession tight end, maybe help you out in the run blocking game as well. So keep Noah Gray in mind in case you're looking for just a reasonably cheap option that not a lot of people are going to be going after. The 6th spot is going to be a tight end that I've had quite a bit of success with this year, and that is Cole Turner. Another big-bodied tight end at 6'7", 240 pounds out of Nevada. On the Washington Commanders, he is kind of their developmental project, but kind of not. I mean, at a 64 overall, a lot of guys are going to be hesitant to try to make this their one tight end because of his low overall and how long it's going to take to dev him up. But he has really reasonable athleticism and size for what you see in a 6'7" tight end at 22 years old. He's never going to be the best tight end in the world, but like I said, you will notice a lot of those catch animations and things that you'll get off of a 6'7", 240 guy that you just wouldn't get off of other tight ends. He's going to be relatively cheap. I mean, you're probably going to see him on most practice squads. So if you want a free option, this is potentially your best free option out there. The 7th spot will be Jeremy Ruckert, the tight end off of the New York Jets. He's a player that I've adapted quite a bit to this year in Madden. I've used him a few times, and I feel like most times with the CPU, he ends up on the practice squad or he ends up in free agent. So at a 67, 22 years old, that's a really good combination to start. He's not going to be a burner. He is only 82 speed, but 6'6", which is really solid for a tight end, and 251. I don't really need to say too much about this other than the fact that you're probably going to be able to get him for free based on the way that the Jets do their roster management in this game. I would say that a Jets user is probably going to value him a little bit, but I can't imagine him costing you much, if anything, to be able to bring him over in any of your franchises. With the 8th spot, we're going to talk about Foster Moreau a little bit, the tight end that is backing up Darren Waller on the Raiders. Now, they do run multiple tight end sets, but Foster Moreau is a player that I see out there in free agency at the end of year one almost every single time, and I try to acquire him when I need tight end help. The reason that I want to point out Foster Moreau, even though he's 25 years old, is that he's just a very well-balanced player. Whenever you actually take a look at his archetypes, he's pretty well-balanced between possession and vertical threat, and his blocking is not terrible. So this is a player that, at 25 years old, he will get a couple more upgrades for you throughout the probably couple years that you sign him for, and he'll be a very serviceable tight end. He's got solid enough hands, 88 catching to start off with, and his other attributes are not terrible to back that up. So a player that you should know his name because, like I said, he's out there pretty much every single time you're going to hit free agency in the offseason. At the 9th spot, Charlie Kohler is going to be named to know, the 4th tight end here on the Ravens, behind guys like Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, who both have massive potential, and I guess Mark Andrews has already realized his potential, but nonetheless, two really good tight ends on this team. Charlie Kohler is completely expendable to the Baltimore Ravens within franchise mode, and at 6'7", 250, he hits that mark for the height and size that we're talking talking about at tight end. He's got half decent speed. I mean, at tight end, 83 speed is good enough to get the job done. So again, another relatively cheap option for you that you're certainly going to be able to build up into a really good tight end. And with the final spot on this list, I actually just want to name a few names that you should be on the lookout for as plug-and-play type players that might not have a ton of value anymore within franchise or within your league, and you could probably acquire as a stretch the field type of a player, or that would have some impact into your offense if you're just looking for an immediate impact at that tight end position. One of those players being Evan Ingram, who just joined the Jaguars. I think that he has some potential to move around within the league just simply because of his age at 27. Players within franchise mode tend to start to look to get rid of players around that 27 to 28 year range because the regression starts to hit at 28 now. Jonnu Smith is another name to know because he is backing up. He's the second tight end on the Patriots, and so for his athleticism, his age, his overall, he's not going to be super expensive to acquire. You could maybe flip a mid to late round draft pick for this guy, and he would make a very big impact immediately on your offense if you're lacking at the tight end position. And then Robert Tonyan is a guy that I like quite a bit. Robert Tonyan at 79 overall, 28 years old. He is pretty much the primary tight end on the Packers, so you do have to keep that in mind. I think they'd be a little bit less willing to get rid of him in comparison to like Jonnu Smith. And same thing with Evan Ingram. He is the primary tight end on that team, but I think you could pick this guy up. You could get a few very good years out of him and probably not cost you a whole lot in order to do so. So those are going to be my tight ends that I want you guys to be on the lookout for, the sleeper / hidden gem tight ends within Madden 23. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video, comment, and subscribe. As always, I'll see you in the next one, and I hope you have a good one.